everyone, welcome to the video of mine which will age the most terribly of any I do this season when we get to May. Yep, it's predictions. It's predictions. The championship is notoriously very, very difficult to predict. But I'm going to give it a go. It could go really well. It's most definitely going to go terribly. I'm doing table and table only, not doing anything else. Not doing golden boot, although I do mention that somewhere in what I've got noted down. So if I do end up looking a little bit down here a little bit during this video, it's because I've got notes here. So I basically don't forget why I think what I think. Alright, cool. Let's get into it. So we're going to start off at the bottom and make our way up to the very, very top of the table. So we'll start at the bottom with Rotherham. And, well, Kioso is a very, very good signing. Kioso is a fantastic signing. Michael Smith's departure is a massive loss. He's got a lot of goals for them in League One last season. But they have signed God to replace him. So they should be alright. Ihekwe and Ladapo are two very, very big departures as well. And for me, the squad they've got now is weaker than the squad they had in League One. And I love Big Tom Eaves, but he wants a 20-goal season. And like I say, Tom, I love you. I miss you so much. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And a big reason as to why I've put Rotherham here is because it's Rotherham. They always go down. In 23rd, I've gone for Birmingham. Now, Sanderson back is a very, very good coup. John Ruddy doesn't fill me with as much, confidence as Birmingham fans would like. And Placheta from Norwich is a very, very interesting signing. That could go either way, really. But the squad hasn't massively improved from last year. And let's not forget, without points deductions, Birmingham were in some real last year. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think the new gaffer fills me with much confidence. I don't really know too much about him. And he's not one who's not one that I'd have gone for if I were if I were in charge of Birmingham personally. But they've got new owners, and thank God they haven't gone with that mad Bassini, because my God, if he ever owned a football club, you could define where that football club would end up in one word: liquidation. 22nd, I've gone for Reading. 2 words: Paul Ince. Paul Ince. That's it. Bring your kid to work days happening again. Lumley, for me, is an abysmal goalkeeper. I think he's absolutely shocking. Hendrick will flop. Shane Long, I think, will do well when he plays, but he won't play enough because I think he'll be injured. John Swift leaving is a disaster. Josh Laurent leaving is a disaster. And Andy Rinamotta leaving isn't ideal. I think the 5 centre mids, earlier in the window there was a stat, I think the 5 centre mids that Reading had last season that played the most minutes, all 5 of them have gone. That's a disaster. Their squad is a lot smaller, and for me, League One is calling. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm very, very happy to be proven wrong. But for me, the defining factor is Paul Ince. They lost 3-0 at our place in April last year. But because Peterborough had lost and hadn't, which meant Reading stayed in the division, Paul Ince in the post-match press conference didn't fancy making a statement about the 3-0 defeat. He just said, no, I've come in, I've done my job, I've kept these players up. No credit to the players. All about him. All about him. Christ. In 21st, this is up there for biggest demise from last season to this. I've gone for Blackpool. The change in manager. Yeah, Neil Critchley has left a secure job at Blackpool where he was doing well. With Critchley, I thought they'd massively kick on this year and make a push for the playoffs. But Michael Appleton, for Lincoln for one season before he had, he terribly got diagnosed with cancer. That was the season we were in League One. They were very good. And then the season after he'd had his treatment and come back, they just weren't the same team. At Oxford, he was good for as well. But Blackpool, he was abysmal. He was dreadful for Blackpool a couple of years ago. He's not the manager you turn back to. And like I say, Neil Critchley leaving, he's just going to put out the cones and make coffees for Stevie G every morning. It's clearly a cash-motivated move. Rhys Williams will be a good deal. But if they don't keep hold of Josh Bowler, I think it's relegation. In 20th, I've gone for Sunderland. Now, I think Sunderland will stay up. Finally back in the Championship, and they've done a bit of decent business. Ballard coming in is a great bit of business. 10 million, though, on Jack Clark. Wow. Wow. People have been slagging off our spending. Right? We've got Seri to take a wage cut. We've got Syed Manesh for 2 million. Tufan's only cost us 4. We've got Baxter on loan again. Figs on a free. Tete on a free. Estupinian on a free. 10 million on Jack Clark, who nobody's heard anything from since 2018. God. But City are the ones who've been spending ridiculous money. They've got a gaffer with Championship experience, though, in Alex Neil. I think Jack Diamond will have a decent season. There's no doubt they'll have a few bumps along the road. They're a newly promoted team. That happens to pretty much every newly promoted team. But they'll stay up. They'll stay up. In 19th, I've gone for Cardiff. Now, I massively respect the balls that Cardiff have. They were 18th in the league last year. Yes, I know City finished lower. But they went out and tried to sign Gareth Bale. That's incredible. That's incredible. They've signed an absolute shite load of players. It doesn't mean they're going to be, all good. O'Dowda from Bristol City is decent. Rina Motta's a good signing, as is Romain Sawyers, but losing Aidan Flint is a blow, and for me, Cedric Keeper just isn't quite on his level. 18th, I've gone for Wigan. Josh McGuinness and Will Keane up front. Wow. But I think Will Keane will have a decent year. McGuinness not so much. Ryan Niambe is an incredible signing. I'm really surprised, really surprised they've managed to pull that one off. But they have. So fair play to them. Well done, Wigan. In 17th, I've gone for Bristol City. Now, I'm really surprised that they kept hold of Antoine Semenyo. I thought a team like Burnley, with Weghorst clearly stated he didn't want to play in the Championship, I thought that Burnley would snap him right up. But they've kept hold of him. Well, a team like Burnley would snap him up. And he's someone that if I was City, I'd have gone for. But it's clearly Bristol City will have wanted a decent amount of cash for him. So I'm glad we got Estupinian and Tete. But they've kept hold of him. Fair play. Cal Naismith is a very good signing. I think Alex Scott will kick on. But I just don't think they've got the overall quality across the park to climb the league any higher. But I don't think Semenyo will be at Bristol City for much longer. That's what I'll say. 16th, Huddersfield. This one will anger a few people. Carlos Corberan. What on earth? Jesus. I think without Corberan, they'll really struggle. They've got the playoff final defeat hangover, and they'll have a weaker squad than what they had last season, losing Toffolo, losing O'Brien. I think Radoni will be a decent signing for the future. And what will help them out is they've got one of the best goalies in the league in the form of Lee Nichols. and they've still got Sober Thomas, so they might still be able to score a few set pieces. But losing Toffolo, losing O'Brien, losing the manager, losing Levi Colwill as well, that's tough. So 16th it is. Sorry, Huddersfield. 15th, I've gone for Preston. Now, I think Freddie Woodman is a fantastic bit of business. And he's a massive upgrade on what Declan Rudd was. And a step up on Dan Everson as well, in my opinion. Cornell, who they've brought in as backup because they've lost Everson back to Leicester and Rudd's retired. Cornell was meh for Peterborough last year, but he was brought in to be backup to Christy Pym. Then Darren Ferguson, Darren McAntony and Christy Pym all had a massive argument. So Cornell was chucked straight in the deep end until they signed Stephen Bender. So I think he'll do a job as backup. And I don't think Troy Parrott would have expected a loan move to Preston a couple of years ago when you think how hotly tipped he was. And they've also signed Robbie Brady. Now, he was linked with Hull City. He was linked with a return to Hull City. And despite the fact that he was one of my first ever favourite players when I started watching City about 11 years ago. God, where's that time gone? 16 now, Christ. I'm glad we didn't get him. He struggled for fitness at Bournemouth last year, and I think he'll be an injury-prone mess for Preston this year. 13th last year, I think teams who finished below them will be able to kick on a little bit more than what they will. I think they'll make bigger leaps than what Preston will. So they'll finish a little bit lower. 14th, I've gone for Blackburn, and everyone seems to be raving about their new manager, but I don't see it. I think going from Tony Mowbray, a safe pair of hands in the Championship, to John Dahl Thomason, it absolutely will not work. For me, anyway. Rothwell, Lennion, Niambe, they're all massive losses. They haven't gone back in for Van Heck. I don't think Brent Brereton, I'm not going to put the Diaz on there because with what I think is going to happen to him this season, he does not deserve that. I don't think he'll get anywhere near the levels he hit at the start and in the first half of last season. And Bradley Dack is still too busy getting his toenails painted, and he's still fuming about our whole team having COVID almost a year ago now. Get a grip, Bradley! In 13th, I've gone for QPR. Now, I think Taylor Richards is a very good signing. Tyler Roberts, not so much. I'm absolutely over the moon that City didn't get him. I'm absolutely over the moon. And they've binned off a few ex-City players as well in Marshall, Odebajo and Device. Dykes will score a few goals. I think Rob Dickey will really impress. But Michael Beale is a risk. I think they'll stick with him and he will come good. It just won't be this season. I think they'll do a similar thing to what Swansea did last season, where under Russell Martin they struggled initially, but then they got better. And a bit better. And towards the end of the season, they were a solid team. And I think that's where QPR will be, in Swansea at the end of last season territory, come the end of this season. In 12th, I've gone for Coventry. Now, Jonathan Panzo is a fantastic signing. They've still got Victor Gyökeres, and I think he'll score some goals. And if they can hold on to Callum O'Hare, I think they have the potential to be a lot higher than what I've put them. But I don't think they will. I think O'Hare will end up at Burnley come the end of the window, and Coventry will end the season still under Matt Robbins, but they'll end it bang smack in the middle of this championship table. 11th, I've gone for Millwall. Now, they're always there or thereabouts at Millwall. They'll push for playoffs. Honeyman's a good bit of business. Afobe permanently, and the two Leeds youngsters in Cresswell and Shackleton also fit into that good business category. Losing Jed Wallace, though, that is a massive, massive blow. But I think Tyler Bury will have a very, very decent season for Millwall this year. Now in 10th, this is the one you've all been waiting for. It's Hull City. Now, I think towards the start of the season, first, first month or so, I think we'll struggle because we've got all these new players and we've got 3 very tough games in August. I think we'll do well against Bristol City and I think we'll do well against Preston. But I think once we get to Norwich, once we get to West Brom, once we get to Burnley, those 3 games are 3 big tests. And if we don't come out on the right side of those tests, we're gonna get stuck in a bit of a rut. But I think we'll pick up at least a point out of those 3 games. I think they're more likely to come out of the West Brom and Burnley games than they are Norwich. But I think, and then Coventry after that, it's where Coventry last season is where we want to be, pushing for playoffs. So that's another tough test as well, to pitch ourselves, see where we are. But Seri is a steal. Estupinian is an outside shout for the Golden Boot. Aliyar permanently is great. Back-to-back mates are stronger in net. Figueiredo is class. Tufan will come good, I think. Tete is good backup. There's no doubt losing KLP and losing Honeyman are blows. But I think Cynic will come good and be our assist king for us this season. And we're getting in a number 10 to replace what Honeyman gave us in terms of driving the team forward. That's come out over the last few days. I think we'll come close to the playoffs. Tan Kessler has said that anything other than top 6 is a disappointment. I think we'll be fighting in there. But I think I think this season will be more of a season of transition. And then next season, we can push definitely in the playoffs and maybe even the automatics. But for now, 10th, and I will be over the moon with that come season's end. In 9th, I've gone for Luton. The signings are interesting. Morris and Woodrow are decent. Horvath from Forest makes them stronger in goal until Shea and Steer recover from the long-term injuries. I don't think they'll get playoffs, but anyone in this area will be very, very close. In 8th, I've gone for Middlesbrough. Now, Zach Steffen is one hell of a signing. That is an incredible bit of business. Darragh Lenihan and Ryan Giles strengthen them at the back, and they've got 20 million that they can spend that they've got for Jed Spence that can be reinvested. But they need a striker. Borough just can't seem to get a striker that consistently score goals. And that is what will let them down. I think that's why they'll fall short of playoffs again. In 7th, I've gone for Watford. Now, Rob Edwards, you absolute fool. Why would you sacrifice your secure job with the Vegans to be sacked after 3 weeks under the Pozzos? There's been very, very little interest in Ismail Sarr, which has surprised me. It's come out today as I'm recording this that West Ham are apparently interested, and they're also interested in Emmanuel Dennis. I think Dennis will leave. Their squad isn't better than last year. None of their signings fill me with, yes, they are going to be the one that will drive Watford up the table. And I think Edwards will struggle initially and get sacked. Then his replacement will be given until January to sign a few players and see where they go. But other than Sarr, once Dennis leaves, I don't see anybody that can consistently score goals. They haven't got an out-and-out striker in there. But I think they'll be close to playoffs. Just bring it back towards the end. And mark my words. Ozan Tufan will score a 25-yard thunder at Vicarage Road in December. Take his shirt off and show everyone, show all the Watford fans, and let's be real, some of the City ones, that he isn't the useless, fat, nothing footballer that Watford fans think he is, and he'll cap it all off with a little one of these. Have at Watford. Mark my words, it's happening. It's happening. Into the playoffs now, and in 6th, I've gone for Stoke. Their window has been absolutely incredible. I think Josh Laurent is a fantastic signing. Aidan Flint will come good. Him, Jagielka and Sutar as a centre-back trio. That's incredible. Kilkenny and Smallbone are good signings too. But the one that does it for me is Dwight Gale. I think once they get Dwight Gale fit, fully match fit, he is guaranteed goals. They've still got Nick Powell, still got Tyrese Campbell, I think Josh Tymon and I think DiMaggio Wright-Phillips. They'll really, really impress. And, you know, I think Jacob Brown will do the same. I think playoffs are on the horizon for Stoke City. In fifth, I've gone for Swansea. Now, if they keep Joel Perreault, I think they'll be class. They really, really picked up in the second half of last season, and I think they'll keep going on that trajectory. Losing Flynn Downs is no doubt a blow, but the experienced signing of Joe Allen will fill that void, and I think that will I think his experience and his know-how will help players in that midfield and help get the ball to someone like an Obafemi. And I think Swansea will have a really, really good season. In fourth, I've gone for Burnley. I am gutted they beat us to Scott Twine. I'm gutted they beat us to that signing. But he makes Patrick Bamford seem like a chav. And he's headed into deep Brexit territory with Burnley with that voice. We'll see how that one goes. And I don't think he'd exactly fit in with the Labour voting Hull area either. Matson's a good signing, but Pope, probably Cornet, Tarkowski, Weghorst, Ben Mee, all leaving. It's a blow. I think Company will just about be able to drag them up the table, but I think in the late season they'll slip away a little bit and end up in fourth. But like I say, I think they'll end up with Callum O'Hare by the time the summer window closes. Third, I've gone for West Brom. Brucey Ball. He knows the Championship. That's it. John Swift is a fantastic signing. Ched Wallace is a fantastic signing. Jason Malumbi is a very, very good signing. But they need to replace Sam Johnson. That's the only negative about their window. But I think Bruce, he knows the league. I think West Brom will be in the playoffs this season, and they'll do it pretty comfortably as well. In second, I've gone for Sheffield United. Somehow Sander Berger is still on their payroll. And Paul Heckingbottom doesn't convince me massively. But he proved last season that he's very credible at this level. Tommy Doyle's a fantastic signing, and with Heckingbottom I think they'll have a much, much better start than they did last season. And that start will push them up through the playoffs and into the automatics, whereas last season they were always playing catch up. But I think, Sheffield United will be in the playoffs, in the automatics, but they won't be anywhere close to the team I've put in first, and that, ladies and gents, is Norwich City. Let's face it, they're going to absolutely walk this. I think Gabriel Sara will be absolutely incredible. He'll be what Buendia was to Pookie the last time they were in this division. Pookie will win the Golden Boot. I think they'll get over 100 points. But I think they'll be back in this league in 2024. That's it. That's it for my predictions. Who do I think will win the playoffs? I've not actually thought about this. I'm going to go for Stoke. I'm going to go for Stoke to win the playoffs. You heard it here first. And Michael O'Neill's stock will fly right back up. Because recently, ever since he took that Stoke job, it's been on the floor. Thank you for watching. I'll look back on these at the end of the season. I have no doubt they're all going to be absolutely terribly wrong. But that's what it's all about, predicting the Championship. Thank you for watching. See you later. Goodbye.